It takes a second.
Nice. We're live. Hot takes. This is going to be as hot as the takes get, I think. I don't think we're going to get hotter than we do this week is my guess. This is the first episode of any podcast that I've been on with Porter where we have not been in the same apartment within 3 inches of each other. So
It's heartbreaking.
It really is. He is.
Breaking new ground.
Porter, where in New York are you?
I'm in Park Slope, Brooklyn.
He's a hipster.
BK, dude. Nah, this is like really yuppie area, like all families and shit. But it's really cool. It's a nice area.
Cool. Very cool. So, I mean, let's just dive right in. I unfortunately was at the game. I met it with Dr. Pizza, our Twitter guy. I took Skate Pronger. We all went to the game, and it spiraled so quickly. And if you remember last week, I said I think Sanchez will play better than Bradford, and up until really the middle of the second half, I thought he had, but I thought we would lose decisively, and it was somehow fucking worse. I don't even understand. But that was definitely, in my opinion, the worst loss of the Chip Kelly era, and where do we go from here?
Did you stay for the entire game?
I stayed. So funny. We left. There was no drives happening, basically, but we went right, probably 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We walked all the way down the ramp at the link, and we walked right to the end zone. And there was nobody there, and even the security guards were so nice. They're like, "Hey, listen, if you want to go sit front row, now's your chance." And so I turned to Katie, and I was like, "Do you want to go down?" I mean, I know we're getting crushed, but it is cool to see the NFL players that close. And I took, seriously, a step towards the field, and Mark Sanchez threw the pick six in that end zone. And I was like, I'm done with this shit. We're leaving. And so
I didn't even know that happened because I never turned games off, and I spent the entire second half playing Halo. It was the most miserable game I remember since that Seahawks game, the 42-0 Reggie White tribute game.
Oh yeah, I was at that one as well. I don't go to that many games. I was also at the NFC Championship game versus the Panthers, so please continue to blame me.
Let me one-up you. I didn't watch the game at all, and I was going to go to a bar, and then, I was getting ready. I was trying to figure stuff out because I was trying to find a broadcast online, and I couldn't because I was here. And by the time I was going to go, Darren Sproles had scored that touchdown, and I was like, oh, shit, all right, I'll go now. No, it was right after the Josh Huff touchdown.
Yeah. Hey, that was a cool touchdown.
That was great.
Being positive.
Yeah, exactly. Well, wasn't it something like after that he only played 15 more snaps the rest of the game or something?
He played
probably
no total snaps, but after that target, he didn't get another target for the rest of the game, that's coaching, play calling, adjustments. That is just horrific. Really.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, I don't get why you would do that to a guy who just scored. But anyway, what happened was after the Huff touchdown, I was like, oh, all right. And then Eagles Twitter started melting down. And I was like, do I really want to go walk a mile to go to this bar and maybe watch the Eagles get the shit kicked out of them? And then by the time I got changed and I got everything, I was ready to go, they were getting the fucking doors blown off them. And I was like, I don't really want to watch this. I mean, every time that I was looking on Twitter or the ESPN app, it was like touchdown, 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 touchdown. So I was like, oh, there's
not worth it.
Point.
Yeah. It was very eerily like a late fall funeral. It was really dark. It was really gray outside, and it was cold, but it wasn't cold. But it was cold enough to where you were freezing, but it wasn't like freezing outside. It was just one of those weird temperatures, and it was definitely the death of the season. I mean,
you could tell when it's rock bottom. You know it's not going to get worse than that because anything worse than that we expect pretty much.
But it's weird just because we've talked about it before. In the Chip Kelly era, outside of the games where they played really, really good teams, like when they played the Packers last year, they played the Broncos 2 years ago, they've never been blown out, really.
Nope.
I mean, they've had games where they've lost by 2 or 3 touchdowns, but that was the first game where I was like, holy shit, they're getting blown out by a very average team.
Yeah. You would really think that the Bucs, I mean, watching the game, the inability, the routes that they were running, I mean, I was sitting in the end zone, so I was able – what's nice about that, especially from more of an upper level, is you can actually see routes develop. Every time the Bucs would drop back to pass, they would have 2 to 3 guys open. And it was seriously like, is this the best team in the NFL? Type of stuff. And they're not. That's what the scary part is. And they're really not even that good. I definitely think they're an So, but yeah, it was bad. Another thing that I noticed, the first drive down the field, they split Jordan Matthews out wide for the first snaps. That means that they had matchup. The Bucs had matchup problems on the outside. It allowed Josh Huff to actually play meaningful snaps. The rest of the game, from that point on, they slid Jordan Matthews back inside, and they kept Miles Austin, Riley Cooper, Nelson Aguilar, Josh Huff. And it was awful. It didn't work at all. And so how is that the adjustment that you make? Is that something that worked? Like, that's what's frustrating to me, is that the adjustments are seemingly so obvious. Last year with Bradley Fletcher, and they finally benched him, and Nolan Carroll has played. He didn't play well yesterday, but he's played better than Bradley Fletcher. And you go, what the fuck? It's so obvious that he was definitely a problem player and he was bad. Miles Austin, he had one target in that game. He dropped it. This is week after week after week. He shouldn't be getting any snaps. He should be getting no snaps, especially in a game with no Ryan Matthews. For them to not use Darren Sproles, who, again, had a meaningful play and works his ass off, for him to not be split up maybe in the slot, sliding Jordan Matthews out wide, adding speed to your offense when you need it with a limited offensive line. It's like nope, Chip's arrogance gets in the way and says, nope, we're going to run things the way we've always run them, as if they have the same talent level as they did in 2013. And that is frightening. It really is.
But what doesn't make any sense to me is everyone always talks about the arrogance, Chip's arrogance, but it's like, I don't even view it as arrogance anymore. I just view it as a bad coach, like really like not being able to make adjustments. Like, if he's arrogant and it's working, that's one thing, but it's proven not to work and he's doing it over and over. It's not arrogance, it's literally just ignorance.
He feels like fast-paced Andy Reid at this point. The things that bother me about Andy Reid, Chip's doing.
Exactly.
You're seeing swing pass after swing pass to DeMarco Murray. Like, especially, I remember a tweet, I think it was Chip's first game. And we were burning downfield, and somebody said, I have no idea who, so hopefully one of the 8 people that watch the show can point it out to me. But somebody said, this is awesome, but all of this tempo is going to seem really silly when the Eagles are down like 20. And it felt very silly to me where the Eagles are down like, 38-14, and we're running, two failed swing passes in 6 seconds. And I'm going like, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing at warp speed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me see here. Tweets of the week. Let's take a look at them really quick, and then we'll jump into some stuff. It's actually my own. My brand is great. But one of the tweets that I saved was my own this week because I'm a huge loser. So, but basically what I said was this, and I really saved it, not so much of my point, but so much to foster the discussion about it, which was the only team in the NFL not playing with pride at any level in Week 11 or whatever week that was the Philadelphia Eagles. The Dolphins went out there and competed. The Lions went out there and competed. The Chicago Bears went out there and competed. And my thought was, isn't this why Chip went out and got his guys? I mean, this is what we were told. Sean Jackson is a head case. And everyone said, okay, I can see that. No problem. All right, so we got a little bit worse. And then we were told, LaShawn McCoy is a head case. And I was like, yeah, I can see that. And Evan Mathis wants too much money. We're not going to pay a guard this much. And so he released him and all this stuff. And it's not so much that they didn't work out, but it's so much that he brought in his guys that wouldn't ever question him and would follow status quo and wouldn't, buck the ship at all. And
they quit.
Isn't that the whole reason he got his guys is because they would never give up. They would never quit. And then yesterday or Sunday, all I saw was a bunch of guys who quit on the team and the fans.
Yeah, I don't really get it. It's like, I don't know. If you're the head coach of a football team, I understand wanting some sort of power and being able to have, be able to dictate, what your players do and don't do. But, I don't know. I'd rather have a bunch of fucking assholes who are good at football than a bunch of guys who are nice and they suck at their – I mean, would you rather work with a bunch of people who are nice that suck at their job or assholes who get shit done?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and you look at it this way, I don't think what you mean is criminals like Greg Hardy, but
No. I just meant, I
Take a
mean,
difficult
I don't
player
think any
like
of those
Des
guys
Bryant?
are criminals.
would you take a difficult player like Des Bryant on this team? Absolutely.
Of course. I
Absolutely.
mean, I think that when you play, to me, I mean, yeah, there's a big difference between Greg Hardy and Des Bryant. I think that's a perfect comparison.
We think.
Because, what's that?
We think there's a difference, but there may not
Well,
be.
I mean, the difference being one is completely immoral and one is, I don't know. I think Des Bryant's just kind of, grew up.
Didn't he
in,
beat up his mom?
What's
Yeah,
that?
that's what I thought. He may have beaten up his own mom, but either way, it's never been proven. I don't know.
But then again, even let's say it has been proven. And it's not that he has matured. It's that he grew up in a really rough situation. Not that Greg Hardy didn't, but it seems like he has at least improved from whatever has happened in his past. He's still not a stand-up citizen. But, and it's the same thing to me with Johnny Manziel. You look at Johnny Manziel and you go, the guy obviously is not a stand-up citizen, but if he can play fucking football and, he can keep that off-the-field shit limited. I don't know what happened with his girlfriend, so I can't really say that. But all the other shit aside,
But before that,
if you can play football, I don't give a fuck about what you do in your – that's the whole Deshaun Jackson thing. Every time it's brought up, it's like these fucking privileged – fucking assholes that are like, oh, Deshaun Jackson, he's a fucking criminal, he's a thug. And then I'm like, it's very easy to say that from someone who grew up in fucking Delaware County and is fucking like, oh, well, I would never do that. And I'm like, dude, he grew up with these guys. Like, there are some people who can't escape their past. Deshaun Jackson, and as much shit as he gets, is a very good football player. Yeah, he does give up on games, but now you're seeing this with guys who were supposed to be chips guys that are also giving up and aren't nearly as talented.
not even in the same stratosphere. You're seeing guys like Miles Austin, who is like a veteran, a leader, all this stuff, who's dropping passes. You're seeing guys. I know you didn't watch the game. We weren't out of it, and it was in the first or second quarter. I actually stood up and booed my lungs out. Mark Sanchez, it was a...
And Lane Johnson cried about it.
Who?
Heard you. Lane Johnson heard you and personally cried about you booing.
Listen, we'll get there. But Brent Selleck drops a really easy ball, and it disrupted the rhythm of an offense that was, I think, down 14-7. And the next play was an overthrow, like a big overthrow, and that was it. And everything went down from there. But that drop is so reminiscent of all right, we're counting on a veteran, a leader. That's a ball that a championship team doesn't drop. I mean, look at the Bucks. I don't know who their tight end that scored. I still don't know his name. Brait or something like that. And he caught a really difficult ball over Kiko Alonso. Brent Selleck drops a really easy pass. That's the difference. That's what we're looking at right now. And yeah, listen, Deshaun Jackson maybe did Taekz for I don't know or care, but I know that when he played, the Eagles were a much better offense.
Deshaun Jackson's a me first guy, but Riley Cooper's a team guy. Who do you want?
Well, that's what I'm saying. And it's like, I don't want Deshaun Jackson back. So people who are going to watch this are going to be like, oh, let's talk about Deshaun Jackson. It's not about Deshaun Jackson. It is about talent level A versus talent level B. And what is it?
Talent level F in this case.
Yeah.
We're starting Miles Austin and Riley Cooper.
Well, that's the thing is it's not that these are the guys that like, and everyone keeps saying that about Miles Austin. Oh, well, he was supposed to be the fourth wide receiver. He was supposed to be and then I'm like, okay, good teams have a fourth wide receiver like Jerron Brown from the Cardinals where you could just throw him in there and he's fucking like, oh, didn't even fucking miss a beat. Or at least he looks decent. He looks
How
like
about the Bengals? The Bengals, all their wide receivers, all the elite teams outside of a freak quarterback in Cam Newton, even though their wide receivers are playing actually pretty well,
he makes them better, I think, more so than the other way around.
Yeah, there's always going to be an anomaly every once in a while, but good teams in the NFL have good wide receivers. You saw the Patriots. They probably blow the doors off the Buffalo Bills last night, but Edelman's out, Amendola got hurt, Deion Lewis got hurt, and their offensive line is in shambles. All of a sudden, they don't have the receivers out on the field, and they struggled a little bit with the Buffalo Bills defense that really wasn't that good last night. And that's what and now if you look at the Eagles from 2013 to now, it's probably a little blend of people figuring it out. It's probably a little bit of blend of Chip's arrogance and not wanting to adjust his system. And also, a bunch of players that have been basically worsened at every single position outside of quarterback, which may be a slight bump, but it's still in failing territory. You know, it's not, they don't have a passable quarterback, right? I don't think. So we're worse at every single position.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. I want to switch gears really quick. Today we had a good conversation in our text group about Carson Palmer versus Sam Bradford. And to set it up really quick, what we were talking about was basically, is the situation similar to what Arizona did versus what Philly did, which is take a shot on a reclamation project and hope it works out? Because I do nothing but praise the Carson Palmer trade, and I do nothing but basically condemn the Eagles trade. And Austin's on the side of, well, it really was the same. It was from the same mindset. It was from the same option, Trey. And Porter and McConnell on the other side saying no. And I just want to hear. So Austin, tell us about where you're coming from of it, and I just wanted to talk about it.
Basically, well, you guys said that based on the price, that's why it was a good reclamation project, because they didn't give up much. It wasn't very risky, while the Eagles gave up a lot for Bradford. And that idea, I completely agree. The only thing I'm coming at is a player who he really struggled. Palmer struggled with his last couple years, last 2 years in Cincinnati. He struggled with injuries. He struggled in Oakland. Even his first year in Arizona, he wasn't that great. For a guy who's in like his mid-30s to get back on track and play as well as he does, it doesn't happen very often. And I think a guy who was in a bad situation, who was a high draft pick, has some talent but never really put it all together, whether it's the situation or for whatever reason. I feel like it's a similar idea to try a talented draft pick in a bad situation and a has-been who was struggling in his current situation. I think it's a reclamation project, a similar idea for both of them.
And the reason that, and I do agree that and like I said, I like the idea of what the Sam Bradford trade was, going out and getting a guy. The starting quarterback market was bad. You didn't want to continue with Nick Foles. You knew Mark Sanchez couldn't start, so you went out. You moved a guy. You moved a pick. You moved Foles. That's fine. All of that is fine to me. The thing is, when you bring in a guy like Sam Bradford, who has had one full decent season in the NFL, the large difference to me was, and Austin, you kept bringing this up earlier, was if you look at Sam Bradford's season, his last full season, he had almost identical stats to Carson Palmer, and Carson Palmer was a washed-up quarterback. That was Sam Bradford's ceiling to that point in the NFL. And I'm not saying I don't think he could have a higher ceiling. I think he could be better in Chip's offense. But if you're bringing in a guy like that, you're putting him in a really bad situation. And once again, I think Bradford was improving, and I think that he could be above average in the offense. But the thing about Arizona is not only do they have solid coaching, they gave Carson Palmer talent around him. Chip Kelly is the GM. Chip Kelly is the head coach. He's in charge of all that. So if you're going to bring in a guy who has an injury history, who has no proven real success in the NFL, you're going to have to surround him with a fuckload of talent. And that's what Arizona did. And I also think, and yes, it is very rare, but Carson Palmer at that point was basically what Sam Bradford was, or they were around the same point. But you knew that Carson Palmer had the ability to play at a high level in the NFL. They surrounded him with talent. They have good coaching. The Eagles right now don't have good coaching, don't have talent around him, and Sam Bradford has proven to be an average quarterback.
And I thought Bradford, I watched some of his tape when we first got him, and I thought he had some good tape. He put together some good games, but he did really struggle with the talent level in St. Louis. I thought it was a decent reclamation project, but I'm in 100% agreement that they gave up way too much for him. If it was like Nick Foles and a fifth-round pick, I think it would be a great trade and a great.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the major thing to me. Remember in the offseason when everyone kept saying that? Oh, he didn't have anyone in Arizona or in St. Louis. He doesn't have anyone
here.
Exactly. That's the thing, is he doesn't have anyone here either. Jordan Matthews hasn't lived up to what he was supposed to be. Zach Ertz hasn't lived up what he was supposed to be.
Aguilar
has not been able to come in and play right away.
Basically anybody Chip Kelly drafted on offense to be a skill player. Jordan Matthews had a good rookie year. It's shocking how bad he's been this year. And I still think Aguilar is going to be a good player. I like some of the routes he runs. But right now,
wide open a few times the other day too.
Yeah. after they played the Jets, Revis said he was really impressed with him. I think he's going to be a good player, but they put so much on him as a rookie to come in and be this important to the team, and he's not producing.
Yeah.
And I still think he's going to be a decent player. I think he'll probably be a good number 2 receiver.
And also what you said about Chip being an offensive guy. I saw a tweet earlier that was talking about the fact that Bruce Arians has been a great talent evaluator. I mean, look at the guys that he's been able to bring in. He brought in John Brown, Jerron Brown. He brought in T.Y.
Antonio Brown.
Antonio. I mean, well, here's
he just likes anybody named Brown. They're all brothers, by the way.
Just take them. No, but there are guys. I'm sure he had some. I'm not saying he definitely picked them, but I'm sure he had some influence in the picks in Pittsburgh, in the picks in Indianapolis with T.Y. Hilton, Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace early in his career. So and also getting the most out of those guys when it comes to their talent level. Since he has left Pittsburgh, Mike Wallace hasn't been nearly as good as he was under Bruce Arians when he was the coordinator. He's really done nothing, exactly. There are, and that's the thing that I've seen out of a coach like Bruce Arians, where he gets the most out of his talents, and also he has an eye for talent.
But also, real quick on Mike Wallace, that's the type of guy I'd rather Chip Kelly be taking a chance on. A guy who fits more of what I think is the traditional Chip Kelly offense than a Miles Austin, who has literally zero versatility. He can do absolutely nothing. He's old and
I don't understand why they signed him.
But no one does, except for Andrew Porter. He apparently loves them.
Yeah, that guy's like sunshine and rainbows, though. Seriously, the Eagles could literally fire Chip Kelly and rehire Andy Reid, and he'd be like, "Let me tell you why this is a really good thing for Philadelphia." He'd be like, "I hope that you eat a bad steak." Real quick, Sam Bradford versus Carson Palmer. I went and looked at their first 58 games. Again, different talent levels, whatever you want to say. I just went passer rating 90 or above. 90 or above is probably an A game, or at least a B plus game. You're getting a decent game out of your quarterback. 17 times for Sam Bradford now in his first 58 games, which is how many games he's played. And Carson Palmer's first 58 games, he had 34 games that were 90 or above pass rating. Just an enormous difference between the quality of quarterback. And I know that there's differences.
Well, to be fair, the Bengals had 2 Pro Bowl receivers. He had the same coach all 4 years. Bradford was in a much worse situation than Carson Palmer. I'm not comparing the two. Palmer obviously had way more success at the beginning of his career.
It's probably more depth than that. I just wanted to point it out that, when Arizona brought in a quarterback to be a reclamation project to see if they can spark something or some untapped something in there, they gave up nothing. He was extremely cheap to pay, and they were able to go out and get other weapons to surround him with. Eagles, on the flip side, are paying an extremely expensive average quarterback who has not done a whole lot. They paid a lot for him. They don't have the money to go out and buy and get – well, I guess they did, but they wasted it. So I guess that maybe is a moot argument because they now have 8 running backs that can't
I have a question, though. We talked about this earlier. What quarterbacks do you look around the league now and you say, is there a Carson Palmer type reclamation project that you could bring in?
Matt Stafford comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
There's been rumors that the Lions might move on from him. RG3 comes to mind, who's less he'd be more on the Bradford side. He hasn't had success recently.
Yeah. I would say
Kaepernick went to 2 NFC championships in a row. He might not be the best passer, but he can make plays if you put him in the right situation.
I think a name to keep in mind this offseason, if they decide to blow everything up, is Drew Brees. We talked about it. We dismissed it because of his price tag, and we would never trade for that. But if he gets bought out, I think the Eagles should absolutely be interested in Drew Brees' services for 2 to 3 years.
It depends. If Chip, there's rumors now that Chip might not be here. If Chip's not here, there's no way I'm getting Drew Brees. I'm just going to try to.
What if they get a guy like Hugh Jackson or Adam Gase? These guys.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackson is when his 1 year in Oakland. He was so desperate for a quarterback that he convinced them to trade a first-round pick and a second-round pick for Carson Palmer in the middle of the season, which is a super ballsy move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you get a offensive-minded guy like that, he's going to want to bring in a quarterback. So I think.
And we debated Matt Stafford a few weeks ago. We could talk about that too if you want. The reason I wasn't a fan of getting Matt Stafford is I think he's going to cost a first-round pick if the Lions decide to move on. He'd have a high cap hit. He'd cost a first-round pick, and I think he's closer to Sam Bradford than he is to Carson Palmer. If he cost nothing, I'd be totally in favor of it.
I'm gonna have to agree. I think the Eagles' best options at this point are to build through the draft.
Hackenberg.
I think if you're gonna bring in another reclamation project, I know Porter's he doesn't love this, but I think Kaepernick is your best because he doesn't have to throw more than 10 or 15 times a game, right? Because he can run the ball and we can run as an offense, kind of like that Tebow Broncos team.
And if Chip's here, I'd love to see just the read option being run.
I want to see a mobile quarterback in the system, a guy who can pull the ball back. And I'll tell you, the deep ball has been an issue this year because there have been people open, okay? And I don't know if Kaepernick's the guy to recognize it, but I can tell you he can extend plays long enough, and if there's people open, he can definitely hit them. The problem, seemingly, with him is his work ethic. I don't know if his team likes him that much, and I think that he is a streaky guy. And, you know.
So I texted this earlier in the week into our group. I at this point, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter. It can't get worse than it's been. So you might as well try with. I don't give a fuck if they bring in RG3, Kaepernick, fucking like if they could
anybody but Tebow.
Like essentially they could bring in fucking 3 reclamation projects, middle of the road guys, fucking whoever.
Let them compete.
Let them compete. Exactly. Try something. You're gonna get average play out of Bradford. You're gonna get below average.
I'm done with Bradford. I'm moving on from him too. I'm not. Bradford. I know a lot of people out there say this is what you got right now. See if you can franchise him, sign him for 2 years. I'm done with Bradford. He inspires no confidence. We are enough into the season to see that even if he gets better, I don't think it's good enough to be a quality starter in the NFL. I don't. But that's where
I think the closest comparison to Bradford is he's just a little bit worse of Alex Smith. And Alex Smith puts together a decent string of games. He makes some throws sometimes. We're like, wow, but he doesn't do it consistently enough to be the guy that you want.
Yeah. I agree. And the major difference between Alex Smith and Sam Bradford, obviously Alex Smith is more mobile. Although Bradford has been better in that department, but Alex Smith he's essentially been a scrambling quarterback in the games that I've watched recently, and he has talent around him. He has Jeremy Maclin, he has Travis Kelce, he has,
every running back they get apparently is a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, at this point, I wouldn't care if they brought in. Well, I probably shouldn't say Kaepernick and Alex Smith. But, those guys even bring in fucking Kaepernick and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Bring in who fucking ever.
You know what is interesting, though? I was just throwing a name out there. This maybe isn't really a quarterback, but you're going to have to get a wide receiver somewhere. I don't really trust the draft right now. It hasn't proven to be very friendly to the Eagles on the offensive side of the ball. Brandon Marshall was traded for, like, a leftover ham, like, at the beginning of the season.
Which I don't know why we weren't on that.
Right, but would you
think
like
the third time
to the Lions?
Think
about talking to the Lions about Calvin Johnson, who's very expensive.
Yeah, he's one I can't get him for his current cap hit because I think it's like 15-20 million, something ridiculous. He's still a great player, but
some of it. You know what? I want to know what his cap hit is right now. So we'll do Calvin Johnson. If they could keep I'm looking for options that give you.
If the Browns moved on. He's on his last shot. I would be completely cool with trying Josh Gordon, and I know Chip probably won't because.
Yeah.
But give me a chance on him. You led the league in receiving with Brandon Weeden as his quarterback.
Yeah, but that's the whole culture thing.
But he smoked weed once, so should he be put down?
Yeah, never mind. Calvin Johnson makes. His cap hit is $24 million next year, 21, 17, then 18. He's an unrestricted free agent. Yeah. 20.
Like if they cut him and we could get him for less than that, I'd be thrilled. But there's no way I can trade that and use that much of a cap.
There's going to have to be creativity this offseason where you're looking at Kaepernick, Josh Gordon, drafting a bunch of offensive linemen, something to repair and give just more of a foundation to this offense where it's not going 3 and out all the time. There's not so many turnovers. Our quarterbacks aren't getting injured every second. They're going to need to bring in legitimate NFL talent. Also, the Cardinals, I know Larry Fitzgerald is playing his ass off, but they have real depth at the wide receiver position. Are they going to be looking another aged year of Larry Fitzgerald, or maybe the Eagles can finally get their hands on him? I'm just throwing
horrible here.
I remember the Eagles almost got their hands on him in 2007.
How great would that have been? Anyway, so I think that we forget that a lot can change in one off season, which is good news. I don't know if Chip's going to be here, but I did want to jump to the Lane Johnson thing before we go to our pseudo list.
What a baby!
I thought it was a whiny bitch move. I was at the game, and I'll tell you what. I told Katie, I was like, Philadelphia fans are soft. We were cheering like crazy on third downs when we were down like 21 points in the third quarter. I was like, these guys have not earned one. They've earned only boos. And for him to come out and blame Eagles fans, like we're the reason they're losing at home. The reason he's the 7th most penalized offensive lineman in the NFL. Actually, did you know that? Fun fact.
I don't some people aren't in favor of booing. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't see how you can complain when you're playing the way they're playing right now. It's ridiculous. It's because he's from the South, and that's what I was going at earlier.
Yeah.
People from the South are soft because they're like these Friday Night Lights people, and they were always like treated like gods when they played in high school and college. And now he's here, and they're losing and playing like shit, and he can't deal with a couple boos. Poor baby. He makes $5 million a year. Suck it up.
You know, we weren't the 9-0 Bengals that struggled against the Houston Texans, but their fans were booing Andy Dalton. I was like, that's kind of fucked up.
And that's pretty bullshit. I agree, but they put out the Dolphins game and the Buccaneers game were just horrible efforts. 6 straight quarters, just horrible efforts.
It's not like we were going back and forth. Nothing was working. There was seemingly no effort. Everything was disorganized. Our play calls were frustrating. Fans are booing because they're frustrated. And I saw a lot of people saying today, like, well, what does that accomplish? You know what? It doesn't have to accomplish anything. Because guess what? When you pay $150 to go to an Eagles game where the players give up, I don't have to be the one productive. Okay? I can do whatever I want, obviously within laws. But if I want to boo when they score a touchdown, I can go ahead and boo when they score a touchdown. There's literally nothing anybody can do about it. And I don't think it's unfair to say the fans weren't behind us. Listen, yes, they were. The Eagles, you could get a playoff ticket in Cincinnati for $30. Do you know how much tickets were for that game?
That's what parking costs for the Eagles because Jeffrey Lurie is a douchebag.
$40 parking.
$40 to park in the parking lot. If you want to crab fries, it's like $15.
They packed that stadium. They were crazy into it, going nuts on Josh Huff's touchdown like we were undefeated. And I think for Lane Johnson to say that shows that he isn't as mentally tough as I think we need this team to be. So they better figure that out in the locker room real quick before they start talking about the fans. Anyway, this was fun. Do you think this is Chip Kelly's last year?
No.
I still lean towards no, but right now, who knows really? What I would do is I'd call the Titans, and I'm like, you want to pair him with Mariota? Give us a first-round pick.
I want more than a first-round pick for a head coach.
I probably do too, but if it's the Titans, that's going to be a high pick.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I don't really know.
If they only give us like a first and third, I'm cool with that.
Of course, this is the draft that the Eagles would be in a slot to get a top quarterback when they're all fucking garbage, right? There's no quarterbacks. There's been quarterbacks for years coming out of the draft. This is the first year where I look around. Maybe Brissett. I mean, I like him, but Paxton Lynch, listen, here's the word on Paxton Lynch. Ready? Here's my scouting report. He's fucking trash, okay? We don't need Paxton Lynch on the Philadelphia Eagles.
I don't know, dude.
Tall white quarterback.
There we go. That's all you need. Tall white quarterback from the South.
Yeah, no thank you, okay? I don't need a guy who's been playing asshole State University because he's in some fake conference, all right? We're good. We're good on – I'd rather have Sam Bradford than Paxton Lynch. Anyway, our list this week is a pseudo list. We had enough hatred spewed on social media. At least I did. I was going nuts during the game. We're just going to do one player, and we're going to do our most hated player on the Philadelphia Eagles. Porter, you go first.
I mean, it's the person that everyone's been talking about a lot the past few weeks. Mine's got to be Miles Austin, and I don't even hate Miles Austin as a person. I don't hate him because
I do.
He isn't good. I hate the whole mindset behind the Miles Austin move more so. Like, there was no reason that they should ever have signed Miles Austin. There's no justifying it. Way past his prime. You can't put it on, like, and as shitty as he has been, you can't put it on Miles Austin for being expected to be a fucking, when he's not a serviceable NFL player. That is a bad eye for talent. That's more on Chip Kelly than anything else.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's shown it the past few weeks. I think he's one of the worst wide receivers in football, and he's very frustrating to watch. So that's it.
Yeah. Austin?
For me, if it's Riley Cooper, it's because he's Miles Austin plus racism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
he's paid more.
As a person, I definitely hate him more.
Riley Cooper just bothers me. He's also from the South, and I just don't like people from the South. He probably says like fucking Obama every time he makes a drop. That or he says the N-word for somebody covering him very well because he's slow and bad.
God, I would take those headlines back over this.
Man, I just hate Riley Cooper. I really do. Whenever he gets hurt every game, and it's disappointing because he always comes back.
Yeah, it's so true. He really does. And he has, I think, 3 catches since October 19th.
And he's paid a lot.
Yeah.
You could have signed Brendan LaFell for like half the price, and he's a much better player.
Or
fuck Riley Cooper forever.
Or
It's just typical.
the other wide receiver.
My least favorite player, actually my most hated player, and it's probably more like Porter's than it is Austin's in the fact that it's mostly situational based. It's a lot has to do with Chip Kelly. I cannot stand Sam Bradford. I hate watching him play quarterback, and I hate that he has caused the fan base to be so divisive. You have people that support him to no end, which is weird to me because he's never done anything for us. It's not like McNabb that gave us a bunch of joy, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He's been very good. He's meant nothing to this franchise. Watching him play is like having to clean up spilled milk. It's horrible. And even when he looks good, he doesn't look that good. He just looks timid and those kind of moves are what set franchises back. And I'm angry that he gave us false hope with the 3rd preseason game in Green Bay. He set our expectations up here, and he got everybody excited. And I guess I'm upset because now we've lost more than, well, let's see what this year is. We had expectations, and he gave us those expectations for right or for wrong, and he has fallen so short of those. I can't stand watching him play. And I don't like Mark Sanchez either, but I can't. I'm definitely done with the Sam Bradford era.
A lot of what you said brought me back to Nick Foles, and
That's exactly what I was thinking. Foles 2.0.
See you later, guys. Nick Foles talk. But it's true. It's very similar.
and I think he's a much better quarterback than Nick Foles for what it's worth. But I think that
he is a better quarterback. I think he is a better quarterback than Nick Foles, but sadly, Nick Foles brought us more joy.
True.
He did.
But another thing also about Sam Bradford, he is also the poster child for what always happens to Philadelphia. They take a risk, and it never, ever works. It never works. Like, it's never the Carson Palmer. It really, truly is never.
Our Carson Palmer was Vincent LeCavalier, which I said earlier.
But like,
trying to recreate past success by signing some old guy who used to be good back in 2006.
I would say the only risk that worked out for Philadelphia sports, honestly, lately is Steve Mason for the Flyers. He's seemingly been a breath of fresh air.
And they kind of like fell ass backwards into him because they traded away their young goalie to his old team.
Honestly, though,
And he won the Vezina.
and now it doesn't even matter because the rest of the team is garbage. But so we basically picked out the starting quarterback and 2 wide receivers from the team. I think a lot of what you're seeing stems from that right there. If they could upgrade those positions by 50%, those 3 people, I think you see the Eagles with at least seven or 8 wins right now, truthfully.
With as well as the defense has been playing, yeah.
I don't want
Until
to talk
this
about
week.
the defense has been playing. It's been declining for weeks. We talked about that.
No, but up until this point, it's undeniable that they were really good the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season.
Yeah, they were. They absolutely were playing very well. What you see is a limited pass rush. Teams are figuring out now how to play within that. We don't have ability to rush the passer at all. Internally, sure. Inside, Fletcher Cox and Benny Logan can definitely do it. Hunter Barwin is awful. Awful.
He had a really bad game.
He has had a really bad season. So, yeah, I don't know what to expect this week. Predictions, Porter, what do you think?
Well, so far, I feel like, remember when a few weeks ago we said we picked the next 3 games? We said they'll probably win all of them. And they might have a slip up. And I said the Lions was going to be a slip up. But I'm going to pull the Jason and do the reverse jinx and say they're going to win, because I think it actually benefits them to lose so that there isn't any false hope going forward at all. And then they can get a better draft pick. So I'm going to say
And this is how I feel. I think I've picked them to win probably every week so far. And I think they're going to win this week too, but this time I think they're going to win because I kind of want them to lose. I kind of don't want to care anymore.
Yeah,
I think they're going to win this week, and I think they're going to beat the Patriots too, just to kick us in the balls.
Yeah. I don't want a high draft pick this year at all, because it's a useless year. There's no elite talent coming out of college football this year. Unlike years past, there's no Andrew Lucks, there's no Jameis Winston's. It is Lane Johnson's year. And as you can see, if that's he might be the best player in that whole first round. I really don't know. It's useless to. I don't care if Joey Bosa, whatever. He probably will suck in the pros. I don't know. It doesn't. What I'm trying to say is losing won't help, and I think we'll create more issues. So I'd rather them look good and win. And I think that they lose.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Detroit's been trending upwards, and the Eagles have been trending downwards. I wouldn't be.
I think my brain tells me to get slaughtered, but I'm just like, they're going to win just because it'd be annoying to win at this point. It'd be annoying to watch them win.
I think it's going to be a game where they start fast and slide again. That's been the trend lately. Earlier it was start slow and fast. Now it is start fast and slow. You'll probably see the Eagles jump out just like they did against the Miami Dolphins. We'll realize, wow, the Lions are shit. They'll claw their way back in, and we'll probably lose it.
Cool.
Remember 2008 when they looked like they were dead? They got killed by the Ravens, and then they went on Thanksgiving and killed the Cardinals and rejuvenated the season and somehow snuck in. That's probably what's going to happen this year. But this year, I don't even want it.
No, it won't happen, because that year we had Donovan McNabb as our quarterback, the most underrated player in Philadelphia sports history, who is a legend in every single facet that you look at it. He was an absolute legend.
He got benched that year, too.
He did, for Cobb. That was the game right before the Thanksgiving game.
Yep.
Fuck Kevin Cobb. Oh, I hate him so much. Anyway, I hope the takes were hot enough for you. We had fun doing it. So, hit it.
See